all of your competitors are running Google ads. A really high percentage of your competitors are running Meta ads, but next to none of them are running ads on ChatGPT.
Welcome back to the Tradepreneur Show. Listen, today got a special guest, Neil Shoney McLean. He's joining us today, and Neil he's an ad strategist. He spent over 13 years helping coaches, consultants, and service-based businesses make Facebook, Meta, and Instagram ads actually work. There's some magic right there. He has also just started implementing ads with ChatGPT. There is the future. And he has helped over 3,000 business owners build simple, repeatable ad systems that bring in better leads and premium clients without relying only on referrals, hustle, or hoping beyond hope that the phone rings. And that is exactly why I wanted him on the show today. Because in the trades, and really in any service business, any business in general, growth cannot be based on guessing. You need a system. You need a repeatable system. And that's what we are here to talk about today. So Neil, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Patrick. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. So 13 years in this space. That's you've probably seen a lot of different evolutions, changes, I think, with the way the digital space, especially, Meta, Google, all that stuff, they seem to be always optimizing and always trying to stay ahead of the cheats, as I call them.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that you've probably seen everybody was panicking when the new Andromeda update came out 7 months ago or whenever it was at this stage.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, oh, new algorithm, everything's changing, and we all have to change the way that we run ads. And I was like, over my time of running ads on Meta, there's probably been about 40 updates, like 40 serious updates. And it's one of those ones where you almost need to treat Meta a little bit like a politician. And every single time that they come out and say, there's a new way of doing it, and this is how you're going to optimize and get better results, you always need to ask, why is that in their best favor for that to happen? And then ask yourself, okay, based on what I know about ads right now and what works for my business, what is the way for me to test this out and move closer to it over time? Because as soon as things came out like the Andromeda update and Facebook said, audiences don't matter, and it doesn't really matter about your targeting, locations, etc. Just tell us suggestions and we'll move from there. Things like service-based businesses, local businesses in general, everybody's ads started tanking because overnight Facebook started to take your catchment area that you want all of your leads to come from, and they started to merely use it as a suggestion. And so you had age ranges, maybe even gender. You may have had certain locations, of course, within driving distance and catchment areas like that. And people were coming to me when that first update happened, and they were always coming to me and saying, well, I've got my ads running the way that they were just before, but the strangest thing is happening. I'm getting all these people from the other side of the country and in other states and other cities. And Facebook has actually hidden just a really simple button that doesn't even look like a button, in which you can turn that off and you can take back control of your ads. And so the way that they're saying is in your favor. You need to be really careful with any moment where Meta says there's a big change that's came in and it's in your favor. And you need to ask yourself if that's the right thing before going all in, for sure.
So let's just real quickly tell us how you got down this road. So got into the marketing space and just became so good at optimizing and building this system. Like, what was it that led you on this path?
Well, to be honest, about 2 years before I ever ran ads for anybody else, I was actually fresh out of university, and I actually started Scotland's biggest ever health and fitness exhibition, with between 8 and 10,000 people coming to the event. But it didn't start off like that. Signed my life away for hundreds of thousands of pounds that I didn't have. I just thought, great idea, everybody will buy tickets. And that just wasn't the case. I was sitting maybe 4 or 5 months out from the event with crazy amount of invoices over my head that haven't been paid. And we'd sold like 50 tickets or just over. Really in a tricky spot. I was doing all the usual things, posting 3 times a day on social, thinking if I change the the creative on Instagram from what's on Facebook, or it was like Facebook and Twitter at that point. That was our two big ones. Doing email marketing, cold outreach to personal trainers. I was doing all that stuff and none of it was working. And to be honest, with Facebook ads at the time, it was a roll of the dice. There was hardly anything in the bank. And I was just like, well, nothing's working. No matter how hard I work here, tickets just aren't selling. And I threw up some ads, and I certainly don't think it was genius. I think it was just by chance. This is the way that I thought that it was the best way to run it, which was to do relatively wide testing. And so instead of just having one audience going to one ad, I thought, well, they have the ability to have multiple ads. They have the ability to have multiple audiences. And I ran that campaign. And in the first few days, we sold something like 12 tickets or 13 tickets. But I'd only spent like the equivalent of about $25. I made somewhere in the region of like $180. And the penny just dropped in that moment. And I was like, man, I was like, as long as cash flow allows here, I can almost choose how fast I want to grow this thing. If I know how much I get out of every dollar that I put into this, I can basically just scale right into it. And that's what we did for the first event, which only had about, I think, 4,000 people at the event, but a massive change from 50, of course. And that propelled us into growing that business over 4 years, selling it to the country's biggest event organizers. And we got known as the exhibition in the UK that had never done TV advertising, billboards, or anything of the like. We just ran Facebook ads. And so it was a word of mouth thing that got me into coaching and consulting. It was never, something that I thought I was ever going to do. It was very much people coming to me at the start.
Yeah, you just kind of struck upon, if you get the formula right and you do the right things. Yeah, it's, I'll tell you, so we do social media for our business, right? The typical social media, they put this is what we're doing. This is, an install. And I started maybe a year ago with like meta ads done right. And when we first launched it, I was absolutely amazed how many leads we generated. I mean, like where people actually called or clicked through to book a call with us. I was blown away because I'm like, and for what it cost me versus what I would spend on TV or radio, and not that those aren't relevant for what we do, especially in our market, but I was really amazed. And what I liked about it was not just that it worked, but I could track it with a lot more accuracy than I can a radio ad or a TV ad or a billboard or any of those other things out there. So I that's what really appealed to me with it. So I'm a newer convert to the meta ads, but my experience with it has been really, really nothing short of amazed at what it can do. And we're just scratching the surface. I know we're nowhere near where we need to be.
Yeah. Are you doing cold campaigns to, prospect, or are you doing remarketing, or a bit of both?
No, right now we're just doing cold campaigns.
Okay. Well,
So
that's going to be a big opportunity for you with the remarketing side. And obviously, what it's like with your industry. It's so high intent in the moment. And so people are really like, I need to solve this, or I need to get this, or I need to get this sorted quickly. Even if it's not something that needs sorted in 24 hours, people don't want it lingering on their mind for 2.5 months. They want to find the person, get the job booked and get it done. And one of the best ways to utilize meta ads in general, because if you compare it to Google ads, the cost per 1,000 views is completely night and day. On Google, super expensive to get in front of 1,000 people, but it comes with pros and cons. They're looking for us in that moment. That's a beautiful thing. So you're willing to pay a bit more to get in front of that person. When it comes to meta ads, we're looking for them. So we get a discount on getting in front of 1,000 people. And if you set it up with really strong remarketing, what you can do is you can get the 82% of the people that visit your site through search traffic or Google ads that don't convert immediately whilst they're there. And you can put ads back in front of those people at, literally like a few dollars per day can yield an extra 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs because they're super high intent. They literally were on the site 2.5 hours ago, and now they're seeing advertising from you. So I love utilizing meta ads for service businesses in general, and especially like localized service businesses, remarketing is like number one on my list for sure.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with it. I'm all about data. And I always relate marketing and the traditional way and the radio and the TV and the billboards and the print. To me, that's very much like carpet bombing a target, right? You come in and you're just going to carpet bomb the place, and it's going to be effective, but it's not going to be effective as if you just want to send in a few cruise missile strikes. I never know how this analogy will resonate with the audience, but you
I love
know,
that you went down that route.
but but yeah, I mean, you can get very strategic in your targeting, and that becomes a lot more cost effective. It's like going to a good fishing hole. You know what you're going after, and you can really be focused on getting the best leads that you can versus, well, let's hope they see this. Let's hope they think of us when they need us. And that is, to your point earlier, we are bottom of the funnel, right? Now we market at the top of the funnel for that brand awareness, right? That Toma. But when somebody wakes up and they have no hot water, or they get home from work and their air conditioning's not working, they may think of you, but so many times they're going to their phone and they're searching, or they could be the social, the Google, whatever it is. And who comes up? Who's there? Who do they find? And of course, that's only part of it. The next part is who responds quickly. Who's the master of the speed, the lead, right? And gets to that client and that opportunity quickly. But yeah, it's a whole new world, man. It's a whole new world, which, we were talking earlier about the whole new world and what AI is doing. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the advertising space, now that OpenAI has launched its ad platform, maybe 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, somewhere in that region, as soon as I got the news, which I used AI to to give me that news, funnily enough. But anyway, when that news came in, I instantly created an account. It got approved within like 24 hours. And I just got cracking with setting up ads just to see what would happen. And it was for my own business. And I documented the whole thing. I'm actually going to have a YouTube video go out in the next like 5 days, and it's literally going to show people how to set this up, literally how I set it up. It's a screen recording. But I also show my exact results at the end of it. But for everybody here, this was like, I set up the Shoney 255 method the way that I do on Facebook ads, which we can get into if you feel it's valuable. So I set it up the same way, where I would have 5 audiences and I would have multiple ads inside each audience as well. So the way that I know to run ads on basically any platform, I did the same there. It's so basic in its setup. There's no selection of audiences. The funny thing is, it's a prompt. So you describe the type of person you want to attract. There's like, you can put in locational targeting, but you basically, you say things like, I would love this ad to go in front of service-based businesses who are asking questions about how to get more leads through paid traffic. It shouldn't go in front of people who are asking questions like this, but it absolutely should go in front of people who are asking questions like this. And so it's that type of thing that you do as you're targeting, rather than selecting certain audiences and interests. And as it stands right now as well, in its infancy, it says conversion tracking is coming, and it says that you can optimize for conversions in the future, but it's not there yet. It literally may come out tomorrow for all we know. But right now, you can only optimize for traffic, which is just people leaving ChatGPT, landing on your website or landing page. And I was pretty skeptical about this, because if anybody here's been running Facebook ads, you'll know that there's a big difference between the exact same ads going out there with the exact same targeting, but one is a traffic ad and one is set up and optimized for conversions, where Facebook is like forced to go and look for people that will actually become a lead or a sale. And on Facebook, this would have bombed. It just wouldn't have worked. Setting this up as a traffic campaign, looking for this type of audience. After 14 days or 15 days of it running, I'd spent about $1,500, so just $100 per day. In the first few days, it didn't actually run, but then it sort of like compounded and spent like $120 per day to catch up. So we got 21 leads, first of all, that came through it for 1,500. The second thing is so we have a 3-step BSL funnel for our own business, right? So it's, hey, we help this type of business. If you want to see how we do it, we've got a 5-minute video, put your details in below. That's step 1. Then they go to step 2. There's a video that talks them through how we help this type of business. And below it is an application form, and they can answer 7 questions. If it's successful, they go to a calendar and they can book a call. So I got 21 leads that went through step 1. So we got like 300 people that landed, but we got 21 people that submitted their details. We got 10 people who then watched the video and submitted the survey in which they had to answer 7 questions. 9 out of the 10 were my complete target demographic. There was one that said jewelry, whatever that means. But the other 9 were complete target demographic, and 5 of them booked calls. Now, at this stage, I've taken, well, now we've got more calls because we've had it running, but at the time of finishing the recording just a few days ago, we had 5 calls in the diary. We had taken 4 of the calls, 3 of them closed. And I was just like, man, this is just like finding quality through the targeting. And I can't believe what might happen on the other side when we can start to optimize for conversions and not just optimize for people landing on the next page. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, that's the future. I mean, it's whether people accept it or not, resist it. It's no different than when the internet came out and we started moving in stages to where we are now. Right. And now this is just the next evolution of all of that. But I was sharing that in the last 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, I've had 3 or 4 instances where a technician or a salesperson or even our CSRs would say, hey, this customer found us through AI, right? Sometimes they'd say a specific one, chat, but typically it was just AI. And now, every Sunday morning I built this AI agent that will basically crawl all the socials and then our Google, our webpage, Google Analytics, and just give me a summary of everything for the week. And it was the first time this past week that it actually identified traffic being driven to us from an AI site, an AI platform. And I thought that was really significant because to me, I was like, I've been telling so many people because I'm like, this is like the first one. This is the documented, I screenshotted the thing because I'm like, this is the first one. And then, so now I'm really paying attention to that because I know it's only going to build and build and build. And that's why, websites and everything outside of what we're talking about, everything has to start being optimized for what is important to these AI large language model platforms, right? And I think it's going to be, I know the technology exists now to where it's like a common thing. I think we're maybe 3 years away, maybe sooner, maybe a little bit longer, where you're going to have somebody like, let's say OpenAI goes onto the platform, basically, or speaks into into your phone or types into the platform, I need an HVAC repair. My AC is not working. Right? And it's going to know enough about the person that's using it. That agent is going to call one of our agents and do the computer speak, the code, and book that call, update our system, update the homeowner's calendar with there never being a phone call placed. It's all happening on the back end. And it's really, for me, it's exciting. I got to believe it's an exciting concept for you as well.
Yeah. Well, on your side there, it's going to be pretty exciting looking back on that clip in like 4 years when it's like 90% of traffic, like organic traffic, if you will. Like everybody is now default. Like the first search is not Google. The first search is through AI, which right now we're at that sort of like 10 to 20% rate at the moment where people go to AI first for things like that. But this will be like 90% plus.
And I think when I talk to other contractors, it's like any business. You run into some people that are kind of really into it, on the cutting edge, paying attention to what's going on. And you get others that are just head down. They're not really focused on what's coming. They're just trying to get through what is. And I believe that AI in general, but in the marketing side of things, if you're an early adapter and you can figure it out and do the things like you're doing, then you have a competitive advantage for a certain window of time, because so many people out there that have no idea what you just shared about the marketing side of ChatGPT. And so the ones that can get that figured out early have another lead source that nobody else is going to be paying attention to.
That's exactly it. And for like home service businesses specifically, it's one of those ones where acquisition of a client can be a client for the next 18 years. And you never have to pay for that client twice. You do a great job once, and that person, like anything happens around these certain things inside their home, you're their first call every time. They don't have to go back to Google. They don't need to do their due diligence on anyone else. You're their person. And with like a relatively high percentage of search going through ChatGPT now or any other AI tools, if you can, first of all, start to rank in some of the suggestions, which we know partially comes down to the big suggestion is around blogging, again, like old school blogging. That when you actually look at the work that ChatGPT does, because you can like do a drop down after it gives you answers and it will tell you like the work that it did. You'll see that it does go into like review sites and things like that. So if you're ranking well in your local area on review sites, that's actually very likely to be even more important than do you have a blog around the topic. So if you can rank there well, and then you can have ads, it's like you say about competitive advantage. This can be a moment in time where all of your competitors are running Google ads. A really high percentage of your competitors are running Meta ads, but next to none of them are running ads on ChatGPT. That means ad costs will be lower, lead costs will be lower, and it means that you have an opportunity to potentially do 2 or 3 years of growth in the space of a year by basically dominating a new ad platform that's got a crazy amount of users. So I think it's a massive, massive opportunity. And I would have said that if my first use of the platform wasn't good. I would have said, hey, it's going to take some tweaking. But the first use of the platform for myself has been fantastic. In the last week, we've set it up for 6 clients so far as well, and we're just going to be rolling it out for everybody because it just feels like too opportunistic not for everybody to be doing this. I mean, you've got such control over who sees it because it's a prompt. So nobody can say my options for targeting are not available. It's huge.
This is what's going to happen because it's just human nature. Is even just hearing what you said, people are going to be like, it's not going to happen. It's going to take forever. I mean, you even have people on major news networks still talking about this AI bubble, right? And this is just kind of wind in the sails right now, but the wind's going to stop blowing. And I'm just like, yeah, it may settle like a pie crust rising. It may eventually settle, but it's not going away. And it's upon us. And just the very nature of AI, it moves very fast. And that's what, I guess, from a selfish point of view, is I have competitors that are going to hear this and still not do anything with it. And I'm like, okay, great. That's fantastic. Because it may take a little time to really catch in, but it's going to catch in. And if you're setting clients up on it, getting out there in front, that's the way to do it. Which leads me to my next question is, walk us through your typical, somebody comes to you and says, hey, I want to do business with you. What does that look like? How does that go?
Well, the first thing that we'll always do is we'll audit anything that they're doing with advertising first. Before we talk about our service, our prices, can we help you, can we not help you? And we're looking for any gaps in opportunity, anything that's not been maximized, if they're not using certain platforms, if certain platforms are not being maximized within themselves. So we're always looking at that first. And then as soon as we have that, we can actually build out a plan of action around it. So are we going to optimize certain platforms that you're using rather than starting from scratch? Or is this just not optimized whatsoever, and do we need to start from scratch? And then looking for any platforms that you're not using. So lots of people in in like home service businesses, for instance, will tell me they do Google ads, but they aren't using Meta ads in any way, shape, or form, and certainly not using ChatGPT ads. So this is opportunities that they're missing out upon massively. And when I say certain things like, what percentage of the people that land on your website every day are converting into a lead, either calling you or submitting, a request for a callback or whatever it may be. And when they say, oh, well, it's actually really good, it's, 8% or 10% or 15%, I'm like, well, even on your best day, that's 85% of people that were high intent. People do not browse your website just for the fun of it. Like, people are browsing your website because they've got a problem they need to solve today. That 85%, you could be spending probably about a fifth of your advertising budget on Google ads on Meta to retarget to them. And you could be scooping up people all day. And so it's looking for all of the opportunities where money should be best spent. And then the final thing is about the goals for the business. Like, some people just truthfully just want to do better than they're doing right now. And some people will come to us and they'll be like, look, we want to absolutely dominate. And this is where we need to get to. And it's like, well, here's the realistic timeline of how that happens. And this is what would need to happen to make that happen. And then from there, it's going to be taking action, building the campaigns, which we do the Shoney 255 method, which is essentially, like I spoke at the start, about having campaigns for people who know who you are and don't know who you are. So that's the two. Inside there, we have multiple audiences as well. We're looking for winners and losers, essentially. And then inside each of those audiences, we have multiple pieces of ad creative, which has two purposes, which is finding winners and losers. But it's also creating an ad experience, because you've probably experienced this yourself, where you see an ad on Facebook or Instagram, you're like, that's pretty interesting. You stop scrolling, you might hit the see more button, you might even visit the website, but you don't buy and you don't submit a form or anything like that. Well, Facebook will then show the second ad to that person to try and re-engage them. And then they'll show them the third ad and the fourth ad and the fifth ad. And so many businesses, especially, I would say in the service industry more than anything, there are so many businesses that are running their ads with one ad. And I mean on thousands and thousands of dollars of ad spend per month. And they might even be getting some leads from it as well, but it's one advert. And I have to say to them, look, this is how ads work, and people get re-engaged. And it's actually one of the most beautiful things about Meta ads and how they work. You have to hope that that person is going to be re-engaged and stop scrolling when they see the same ad over and over and over again. So there's a few reasons why we set it up that way for testing to find the winners and losers, but then it's also about creating that ad experience so that we can maximize the amount of people that do convert on the second, third, fourth, and fifth time that they see an ad as well. And then from there, it's all about scaling. So it's about looking at the results, turning off the losers, pushing the budget towards the winners, and then it's just a two-step scaling process. First of all is vertical. That's really simple. That's spending more on the front end to get more out the other side. It's a little bit strategic so that you don't break the system, but it's relatively simple. And then scaling horizontally is where you either test out different creatives, different audiences, or different locations for service businesses. And that's how we do things step by step. And if that went too fast, just tell me where to go into detail.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. But essentially, once you come in and you look for the gaps, you evaluate what's going on, look for the gaps, and then you'll come in with your model, your program, which I love the target, and then the multiple ads, and the point of, the 5 different ads and not hitting them with the same ad. Because as you were talking, I was thinking about my experiences, and I do notice sometimes I get hit with the same ad from somebody, and then there's other times I get hit with an ad, and it's. I'll give you an example. I'm looking at these infrared saunas for the backyard, and so obviously I get this ad, I like it, or I click into it, I look at it, and then I'll get hit with another ad, and it's not till I kind of get into it that I realize it's the same company, and so I wasn't really even paying attention to that they're changing up their ad creative. I was just mindlessly clicking because it is something I'm interested in. It's probably a next It's a 6-month purchase probably. And so it's interesting. And the ad that stays in front of me is probably the company I'm going to go with, because I'm becoming familiar with the brand, and repeated exposure from the same brand. And I'm not even realizing it's the same brand until I get into the ad a little bit. But that's
Yeah.
powerful, because I guarantee you the likelihood that I go with that brand is probably high because they're staying in front of me.
Yeah, 100%. And imagine, as the ad experience, imagine the first ad that you see is a carousel full of different saunas. And so that caught your interest, and then you go, right, I'll click through on that one. That one looks interesting. Let's find out more details about it. And obviously you don't purchase. Maybe the next ad that you see an hour and 15 minutes later, which you might have seen the first one on Facebook, you see the second ad on Instagram because it's the same platform for ads. So you go into Instagram an hour and 15 minutes later and you see a testimonial video, and it's somebody talking about the results that they got or their experience, or maybe even they say something fantastic like, some of my friends went through some horror stories with other companies when they bought their infrared saunas, but I went with this brand because they looked really reputable and I couldn't be more blown away. They came, they set it up for me. I've never had an issue with it. It's da 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 da. All those things. You're like, wow, like now I'm really bought in. And then maybe the third ad that you see, if you've still not purchased, is maybe somebody, or maybe it's like a setup, like a sped up video of somebody setting this up in their backyard. And then, and it goes from like, a grass area or whatever it may be, or beside the pool, depending upon where you are in the world. And then suddenly they've got this beautiful infrared sauna that doesn't look like an eyesore. In fact, it actually elevates the look of the house and the outdoor area.
You know what? It's almost like you design these ads, because what the first ad I got, it was very much like you described. And as I'm doing the research, one of the things, I had a concrete pad put in the backyard where I'm going to have it, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute, I got a wall around my yard. Am I going to have to get a crane? Does this come on a flatbed, and I'm going to have to, use a crane to lift it in? And I just literally, within the last 3 days, got an ad, and it was this truck in front of a house, and like the homeowners are out there, and these guys are unloading these boxes, and they're showing that it's basically, it's an easy to assemble package. And so, because it was answering my question, I don't know if it knew I had the question, or it probably, obviously research probably says people have these questions. How am I going to get into my backyard? How's it going to do this? How's it going to do that? And that's exactly what the ad was that I most recently received from them. So fascinating stuff.
Yeah. You're almost certainly going to go with them now.
Yeah, for sure. Because they basically, they've checked all the boxes that I have on questions and things like that. But other companies have too. And it was something you said earlier. The other companies, though, are companies I'm out searching for. I'm out doing the Google search. I'm out looking for them. They're looking for me. So here's one company in particular that's looking for me. And of course, obviously, as I'm engaging with it, it's retargeting me. It's not letting me get away, right? It's staying relevant and fresh in front of me. So when it's time for that purchase, it's there. There's a whole science behind this stuff. This isn't just boosting a post. This is scientific, data-driven, behavior-driven planning and architecture.
100%. Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to harp on too much about ChatGPT ads, because they are, at the end of the day, in their infancy here. But like we've been discussing, it's going to become a huge part of advertising. Like, imagine for that company, like, put this ad in front of people who are searching and asking questions about how to actually get an infrared sauna into their back garden. Do not put it in front of people that are just interested in the benefits of infrared sauna, da 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 da. Only put it in front of the people who are actively asking questions about installing one or buying one. Using prompt-based targeting is beautiful.
Well, and I'll tell you some of the things we're doing right now to further optimize ourselves with AI, because the way AI is going to search is we're taking invoices actual invoices that we have for, let's say, a water heater, an air conditioning system, or replacing a condenser fan motor, ones that we've actually ran, and we're uploading them to this platform, and then pictures of our work and things like that to make us more discoverable, give the information to AI that it's looking for. And I think that's the frontier now too. And I know Google, obviously, you correct me if I'm wrong, but you rank better, or they favor you more if you can see pricing online.
Yeah, transparency is a big part of it, especially over the last couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's another competitive advantage you have in the trades if you're willing to put that pricing out there and be transparent, because a lot of contractors are not. It's like super secret, protective, and it's not transparent at all. So if you're a contractor that is willing to be transparent to some degree, that better favors you, especially on the AI side. Am I accurate in saying that?
Oh yeah, for sure. No, absolutely. I mean, the transparency thing really became big, like with Google's, especially. I mean, I think I first heard them talking about this being like really important moving forward 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. And now, whenever like we build websites and things as well within the agency, and so SEO is obviously a really big part of that. And then we've got SEO clients and optimization for on ad for AI platforms also. But now, anything that like we always use the word abstract. Like, is this too abstract? The way that it's said is too abstract. And if it isn't crystal clear on exactly what they do, how they do it, what the pricing is, how you take the next step, then we basically don't do it. It's not good for the experience of, website visitor to lead. And so your leads drop anyway, but it's also just like a complete no-no when it comes to Google as well in terms of searchability.
Well, yeah, I could talk all day on this stuff. I love marketing. I love marketing, and I love the digital marketing and the ability of it to just be very targeted and really being able to track your ROI on what you're spending. That to me is exciting. Like, again, I like all of it, TV ads, radio, all of that stuff. But the digital side, especially with the Meta, with what's coming with AI, it's very exciting. So while I could talk about this all day, I can't. So I'm sure you got things to do too. But why don't you, Neil, if somebody's listening to this and they're like, man, I need this guy's team to help me get up to speed, get to where I need to be, how do they get a hold of you?
Best place, just because I manage it myself, I don't have any VAs in there, just so that we can speak directly, is on Instagram. So if you search Neil Shoney ads, it looks like Neil's Honey, unfortunately. Neil's Honey ads, if you will. Then just send me a message and let's chat a little bit about the business. If you want to chat a little bit further, we can jump onto a 30-minute call and do some of the stuff that we talked about here 15 minutes ago about finding out about what you're doing right now and where the opportunities are.
Well, that's awesome. Here's what I can tell you. I won't be sending you an ad on or a message on Instagram, but I do have your email, so I'm going to be shooting you an email because I'd love to see what you can do for us.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah. So, and maybe we can put that together. I'd love to have you back and talk more, especially as you learn more and as this AI evolves. It'd be great to bring you back and talk more about that.
Absolutely. No, definitely.
All right.
And I mean, it would actually be a fun episode if we end up doing some stuff together on your business, just talking about what happened. That would be a great episode.
That would be great. Yeah, it could be a deep dive into the gaps you found and how we went about addressing them. And we can share real data, real results.
Yeah, that would be
Cool.
class.
That would be cool. Well, Neil, I really appreciate you joining me today. You talked about some fascinating stuff. I know for the trades, there's a lot of people out there in the trades, and marketing, especially digital marketing, is a black hole, right? There's so much to know, so much to do. So when you can get some insight from somebody that's out there doing it and has had results, successful results, it's always great for our listeners to hear. So, Neil, thank you very much. and look forward to bringing you back on the show soon.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Patrick. Appreciate you.